morning, everybody. Happy Thursday on another episode of Run to Gun Reps. Wrapping up week 16 here this morning, you guys. And wanted to jump in this morning with just some thoughts with an interesting post I saw yesterday. And I dove into the comments because I really just like to see how people are responding to things. So I actually saw this post on a pretty famous guy's, famous business guy, and he had like a little image posted that said, "Just do what feels good." I think is what it said. Actually, I think it said like, "Do what effing feels good." So it's just interesting, because obviously what he does is encourage people, and so nothing against it. So I just dove into the comments. I just like to see how people respond, and it's just really funny how within those comments, like, there's a lot of just indifferent comments or confusion. And so I just found that interesting because the statement was obviously really simple to people, but the message isn't always clear. And so even though the statement can be simple, message isn't always clear, obviously gets me thinking. And heavily just on like directly what that really means. And do what feels good, right? Like, yes, does that help people and encourage people a little bit? But for me, it was more along the lines of it actually, like what we've been talking about in the realm of all year long. We said, hey, at the beginning of 2021, when we started that, we were going to do it differently. That's been the theme. That this year, we're going to do it differently. And in order to do it differently, we have to really think differently. We have to take a different perspective. And that perspective isn't always a worldly perspective, right? And so to really get, the gains we want, if we want the permanent gains, if we want the true long-term progress, we can't continue to do it the same as what we were doing in the past. We really have to level up and do it differently. And that means that we can't take the same view and the same perspective with the same amount of wisdom that we were before. We have to really view things from new perspectives, new levels, and new expectation in order to get to that end goal that we're striving to do, we're training to do and get there. And so I really found that interesting, that statement within that post yesterday. And it's really funny because then I ran into this, and it just really backs it up from the sense of how we have to view things from a different perspective and a higher level perspective. And it's actually in Psalms 14:12, and it says, "There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end, it leads to death." And actually, I was looking, that's my NIV version. I was looking at the King James Version too, and it reads that there is a way that appears to be right according to man, but in the end, it leads to death. And so there's that Bible verse in Psalms 14:12 is why when I read that totally, because I knew I had heard that within Scripture before. I didn't know where it was. I had to go figure it out, look it up, research a little bit for a few minutes. It wasn't hard to find. Just jumping within Google and typing in some keywords and things. So that's why it stuck out to me as so like, I get it, the post being, trying to be encouraging, but really what's more encouraging though? What has true encouragement behind it? And it's words of God that actually have true words of encouragement behind it. It's not words of man. There's nothing I can say that brings, that's going to bring true encouragement or true happiness to anybody. And that being said, I sent this out in my text messaging platform, and I didn't even know I was going to say this morning because it just hit me literally just now. But in James 1, what is it, like 1:21, something like that, I can't remember. It says, everything good and perfect. Everything good and perfect comes from the heavens. That's paraphrased at the end there. It's a longer verse. it doesn't say like, some things or a few things or occasionally some things. It says everything good. Like the very first word of that verse is everything good. And so it goes right with that today, right, you guys, that if we follow the ways of men, or if we do what feels good according to the earth, according to what men have to say, like, it's just going to set us back. It's just going to continue to have that full circle effect. We'll have that feel good for a minute, and then it just cycles right back around to where we were. And we just spin our wheels, you guys. We just get in that mud and we spin our wheels if we don't change our perspective and we don't grow our wisdom and where it needs to be grown. And we really just have to put that new perspective and pray for that perspective, to have a godly view on the world instead of a worldly view on the world. And that's something that can be a real challenge, but what a great thing for us to train in, what a great thing for us to work on this year, because we said we were going to do it differently. We said we were going to do things differently in order to be different. And so that's the encouragement today, you guys, right there in Psalms 14:12, that there's a way that appears to be right. We can do what feels right according to man, but in the end, that leads to death. We have to do what is right, not what feels right. Two key words in those two statements. The one that was on the Facebook post on that dude's page, do what feels right, and then what's in the Bible, that is do what is right, right? So some encouragement for all of us this morning, right? To do what is right, and doing what is right isn't always what's the fun part, or doing what right isn't always the easy part, but it is the right part, you guys, and that part won't lead to death. So some encouragement for all of us today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed week 16 of Run to Gun Reps right here at 5:35 a.m. and we're gonna be coming back at you guys next Tuesday again, 5:35 a.m. We'll see you on Tuesday. Have an awesome weekend. Take action. Let's rock and roll, you guys. We'll see you later.